What's up, y'all? It's your boy Joey here, aka Mr. Made You Look. We are back with episode 5 of the Made You Look University series, and today I will be going over how I professionally retouch and edit my images using Photoshop and Lightroom to bring my raw images from this to something fire like this. If you fuck with the results, I highly recommend you stay till the end of the video to see my entire process and workflow, and you can apply it to your own photos, images, etc. man. I did wake up with a little case of the sniffles today, you dumb motherfucker. So my voice is a little off, my brain's a little off, my nose is a little off. That is enough yapping. Without further ado, let's get into the motherfucking tutorial, man. Woo! So we have our beautiful image in Photoshop. The first thing I'm gonna want to do here is duplicate my background layer, unlock it and duplicate it. That's Command J on Mac, and I believe it's Control or Option J on the PC. The reason I'm doing this is because the first step in my process, I'm going to expand the backdrop, clean up the backdrop and anything around my subject, kind of dust off the image. And so if I mess up, I can always delete this duplicate layer, go back to the original image and just start over, brand new, fresh. To expand my backdrop, and this image is going to be very minimal, I'm going to go over to this lasso tool on the left toolbar, come down here, and if it doesn't show up, you can right click lasso tool. So third one down. So I'm going to draw around the area I need. Oh shit. I'm going to draw around the area I need filled in. Go up here to edit, fill. Content aware is what should be selected, but if not, just click the drop down, go to content aware, press OK, and just like that, it's like it was never there. Once your backdrop is expanded, the next thing I want to do, and you want to do, is clean up that motherfucking backdrop. I cannot tell you how much it bothers me when I see pictures that the backdrop has not been cleaned. It is something so simple, it is so easy to do, and it separates you from a lot of other photographers. It separates your work from a lot of other people's work. It's just like, why would you not do it? Why would you take pictures and half-ass it? For the sake of the tutorial, I'm not going to go too in depth, but this is not a step in the process that you want to skimp out on and kind of half-ass. Be thorough, take your time, make it look clean, make it look brand fucking new. Now, 2 pro tips before I get into this part is: 1, when you're shooting in studio, make sure the backdrop is as clean as possible. Sweep it up if you got to. If there's anything you can clean up, clean that shit up. It'll make your life easier in post. Number 2, when you're editing, make sure your computer screen is clean, because if it is not, all the smudges, crumbs, whatever that are on your screen are going to be very hard for you to differentiate from the dirt, the scuff, and just the shit that's in your image. So make sure the backdrop's clean as possible. Make sure your computer screen is clean as possible. Let's get right into it. So go to your left toolbar. There's a little band-aid right here. I use the remove tool. Right click on it, go down to remove tool, select it. Now all you're gonna do is go over any scuffs, dirt, marks, and just draw. I have my settings up here, but you can expand it and make your tool bigger with the toolbar or with your bracket keys. Just make sure you're selected. So I'm gonna go through, paint over all these scuffs and shit, and just make it clean. Like I said, I'm not going to go too crazy just for the sake of the tutorial, but as you can see, before, after, we did a good amount of damage. And before I go into the next step, I'm just going to go through her dress real quick, make sure there's no dust, lint, anything like that. Like this right here is part of the dress, but I'm just going to show you, take it off using the remove tool. And then if she has like little shit in her hair, I'll take it out here as well. Something like that, something like that. And lastly, we're just gonna clean up around her hair, baby hairs or stray hairs. I'll probably clean up down here using the remove tool again, just like these little curls. Looks like she got like a little bit of a goatee, so we're gonna get that out of there. Just kind of clean shit up a little bit. That's pretty much good for now. It's about what I would do. Again, I'm gonna be a little less thorough just for the sake of the tutorial, but I highly recommend when you guys do this for your images and your pictures, take more time, pay attention to the details, don't skip over nothing. You hear me? The next step is to start the retouching process of her actual skin and her body. So what do I do? How do I do this? I personally use a retouching pack from another creator. His name is Stretch Life Visuals. Check him out. He's awesome. And his retouching pack is excellent. I think it's like 35 bucks. It just makes your workflow so much easier. It saves me a lot of time. It'll save you a lot of time. I'm going to show you how I use it. You can go buy his. You can go buy another creator's. You can make your own. But I just highly recommend using one of these assets. It'll just improve your workflow, make it faster, faster, make it better, just make you a more efficient photographer. So once you have bought your pack, downloaded it, whatever, you're gonna go over here into your actions tab, and if it doesn't show up, just go to window, click actions, go to your actions tab, and the first thing I do is frequency separation, SLV FS. Drop down the little menu or little arrow, go to basic, and click the play button to run it. Now go back to your layers, and you'll have this new folder created. I'm gonna only go into this high frequency layer, and this is where I will clean up any blemishes, pimples, imperfections, marks on her body, her face. For 95% of this process, I will use something called the clone stamp tool, which is right here. It looks like a little stamp. Right click, if it's not there, clone stamp. This is basically a copy and paste button. What you're gonna do is you're gonna hold option, and while you're holding option, you're going to click into a space directly next to the place you want to cover up. Click and drag, copy and paste. So like for example, I want to cover this pimple up right here. I'm gonna go directly to the right of it, hold option, click, and that's gonna paste how the skin looked from where I copied it from. Hold option to copy and drag over and click it to paste. Continue that throughout the face. Just copy and paste, copy and paste, copy, paste, bow, bow, bow. Cover up your blemishes. Just make sure that the skin is cleaner. Make sure it's as perfect as possible while still looking realistic. Before I move on, the last thing I like to do in this step of the process workflow. Wow. Excuse me. 1 sec. Are we gonna have a problem? Are we gonna have a problem? The last thing I like to do in this step of the process is clean up eye bags. Everybody got them. No shame, no shade. We just all have eye bags, and if you're taking photos, you want to make sure that you look happy, you look well rested, energized. So same process. This one's a little bit trickier. Just kind of follow along the eye line of the bag and just continue until it's gone. This part can be a little bit tricky. Trial and error. Just keep doing it until you like how it looks. And then you zoom out. Boom. No more eye bags. Bling, blow. Before, after. All right, let's go through her skin real quick, see if there's anything we can tweak out. I might want to get rid of this little armpit, stuff like that. Looks pretty good. I think we're all set. The next thing we're going to move on to is now dodge and burn. Same thing, open up the drop down, gonna go to global dodge and burn. Ah shit, run it. What dodge and burn does is essentially just adding contrast to your image, but in a very controlled way. I'll add contrast later in Lightroom when I color grade the photo. It just provides you complete control of where you're gonna add shadows and highlights and how much you want to darken or lighten a certain part of the image. So for global dodge and burn, this is just gonna be the entire body, the entire image. Go to your paintbrush on the left side. Again, if it's not there, right click, brush tool. I have my flow at like 5% for this part, opacity at 100, and then again, you can increase or decrease the size of your tool using the brackets or the tool up top. I'm using a soft round brush. These are my settings. Pick and choose what you'd like. I highly recommend using exactly what I'm using. So, shush. Burn are going to be your shadows. Dodge are going to be your highlights. All you're going to do is when you're in the dodge layer, you're going to paint over your highlights to make them brighter. When you're in the burn layer, you're going to paint over your shadows to make them darker. Right here, just natural dark areas in the photo where her body is blocking off the light. Obviously right here where her face was facing away from the key light. Shadows from her actual hair. Highlight, go to the dodge to bring out that face a little bit more. Darken up down here, over here, over here, over here. Paint up her hair a little bit because that shit was nice and bright. Before, after, just made it all a little bit more profound. And the next step is going to do the same exact thing, but only focus on her facial features. So we just did global. Now we're going to do micro dodge and burn. Run it, go back to layers, open it up, make my tool a little bit smaller using the left bracket key. Darken her eyebrows. I'll outline her lips. I'll hit her eyelash a little bit. Her eyelashes underneath her eyes, and then the brim of her nose. Go into the dodge, paint over her lips themselves, the teeth just a little bit, the eyeballs, down this bridge of her nose, underneath. Before, after, before, after. We've darkened her eyebrows. We've made those features on her face a little more profound. The lips, the eyebrows, the eyes, the nose. Let's move on, shall we? Last thing, before we close up these actions, are going to be brightening her teeth and her eyeballs. So you go to actions, eye and teeth whitening, run it. People's teeth aren't showing in every image, and sometimes their eyes are closed, they're looking off. So obviously this only pertains to those pictures where the teeth and eyes are showing. Her stuff's already pretty white, but I am gonna bump the flow up to like 15-ish%, and then same thing, go into this last layer down here, photo filter, and just paint over her teeth, over the whites in her eyes, before, after. You want to bump them up even more, look a little crazy, go to like 27, before, after, white as fuck. Let's run through everything real quick, just see what we've worked with. This is the original image. This is after we expanded and cleaned the backdrop. This is after we took away her blemishes, imperfections, eye bags. This is the first round of dodge and burn, the dodge and burn to the face, and then the eyes and teeth whitening. Last thing I'm gonna do is soften up her skin a little bit and the backdrop overall. So you're gonna go to this first layer on top, the duplicate layer, hold Command on Mac, I believe Option on PC, and I to invert the image. Go to the blend mode drop down, change it to vivid light, bring it up to the top, go to filter, other, gonna go to high pass, leave it at around 10, filter again, blur, Gaussian blur should be around 4 pixels. Last but not least, you're gonna hold Option on your Mac and click this mask layer down here, so you open up a layered mask. Now essentially in this layered mask, you're going to be able to paint that blur and filter over whatever you want to paint, make it a little bit softer. So first thing I'm gonna do is smooth out the backdrop, have my flow up at 100, have my opacity up at 100, go to my paintbrush, blow that bitch up using my bracket keys, or you can go up here and use the slider. And I'm just going to paint and soften up around my subject, and then I'm gonna go onto her face, drop that opacity to about 50, clean but realistic, paint over it just a little bit, just make that skin a little bit softer. So I'll bump it up to like 70, 65 for the rest of her skin, and this just adds like a glow almost to her body, just makes everything look a little bit smoother, a little bit cleaner, a little bit more professional. It's minimal. That's before, after. I don't know if you can see a difference. Maybe in like the arm you might see more of a difference. It just makes it a little bit softer. Just an overall better product in my opinion. This image is finished in Photoshop. We're done. And now all I'm gonna do, bring it into Lightroom and tweak the colors. But Lightroom is where you can really find your desired aesthetic and look. This is gonna be more to your choosing, just kind of how you want your pictures to come out. You don't have to copy what I do to a T. You can if you'd like. I'm just gonna show you how I would edit this photo and kind of what I'm doing as I'm going through it, and just make some shit shake. I'm gonna introduce some contrast with this curve right here. Make sure the white circle is clicked. Drop the shadows by putting a point down here. Raise my highlights with a point up here, and we call this an S curve because it looks like a fucking S. I'm going to bring my blacks down a little bit, my shadows down, introduce some more contrast with this slider. Bring the exposure up just a little bit. Highlights, whites, before, after. Beautiful. I think she looks a little bit pink, so I'm going to introduce some green to the skin tones, or to the overall image, just with the tint slider. Make it a little bit warmer to complement that orange, and then just introduce some vibrance, raise the saturation just to make those colors pop a little bit. This gives you full manipulation over each individual color in the image. So orange, I'm going to boom that up, have her dress pop, the flowers pop. Same thing with her lips. Her lips are going to be red. Come down here, I lower the texture to give it a little bit of that glow, raise the clarity to add a little bit more contrast. I like to add a vignette to a lot of my pictures. Vignette, however you want to call it. It's very minimal, but it just puts a little bit more focus on the subject, especially when they're dead center. So you can see the before and after. I'm going to sharpen the image a little bit, and then I'm going to bump the luminance and color up. So this is the final image. Boom. I'm exhausted. I don't feel good. I really hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. I hope you learned something new. There's multiple ways to get similar or the same results. You just have to put in the time, put in the effort to gain the experience and just learn the software. This is my workflow, my process. You can copy it to a T. It's worked very well for me. I spent a lot of time kind of refining it, practicing. With that being said, send this to a photographer, videographer, share this to your story. Anybody who you think could learn something from this video, please pass it on. I appreciate everybody who watched to the end. If you have anything you'd like me to cover, go over in future videos, future content, leave me a comment below. I appreciate you guys for the love as always, for the support. So Mr. Make You Look in the building. Be safe, be happy. I'll catch you on the next video and chase some motherfucking dreams, man. Peace.